This is the Louie T Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Overtime! So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your me, Louie T? Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Patriots, Broncos, Week 10. When the schedule came out, this was supposed to be a big-time showdown in the AFC, one that we always look forward to. Remember the days of Manning and Brady and epic Bronco and Patriots games? Hell, that was just 3 years ago, 2 years ago. These games meant something. Now these days, not so much. Not so much. And I'd be lying to you if I sat here and told you that I was looking forward to this game. As a matter of fact, I've told you since last week, this same time, when we were talking Dolphins and Raiders, that I wasn't looking forward to the next week's game. Because this is exactly why. I knew what was going to happen, and you knew what was going to happen as well. We didn't have to watch this game to know that the Denver Broncos didn't stand a chance against the Patriots. Now, was I expecting 41 points put up by the Patriots? No, just because of the fact, not because this Broncos defense is so good. I've been telling you that this Broncos defense isn't what it used to be. I told you that this Broncos defense started out the year playing good football, but because of the defense and now the special teams, that they were going to have issues. You can't ask a defense to come on the field and protect, as much as this Denver Broncos football team acts of this defense, whether it's special teams muffing a punt or having a punt blocked or giving up a kickoff return, whatever the case may be. You can't ask this defense to protect 17 yards of football field or 33 yards of football. You can't ask them consistently because you just went 3 and out for the third straight time. Now they got to come back on the field exhausted and tired, tongue hanging out of their mouth to defend the end zone. It's just impossible to do, and eventually they were going to break down. And you're seeing the effects of getting limited help from the offense and special teams now. You're seeing the effects of guys getting older, not having enough playmakers. They talked about Damato Peko and how he came over from Cincinnati and he's an anchor in the run game and how the run defense has been stellar this season. What about the pass rush? Run defense is great. You need both. But you want to be a dominant defense, you need to get to the quarterback. And we're watching Shane Ray and Von Miller run around the edge and beat tackles, but the quarterback just steps up. You know why? There's no interior pass rush. There's nobody collapsing the pocket on the inside. There's only so much Wolf can do on his own, and there's really no one hitting home from the inside. So those years when they were their most dominant, especially 2015, when Malik Jackson was getting pressure from the interior, when Sylvester Williams was collapsing the pocket, that's when this team was its most dangerous, and they don't have that anymore. And for the Patriots, this was what I've been expecting from them. I've been looking for a game like this. And even though it wasn't against the greatest opponent, I don't care. This is what the Patriots used to do. This is the team that everyone used to fear. Now, do I still think the Patriots are where they need to be? Not exactly. But this was a huge step in the right direction because all season long, they've been winning these games, these types of games, 26 to, let's call it 17, 30 to 16. They would win the game going away and they would be comfortably ahead at the end, but it wasn't as easy as it appeared. This was total domination from the word go. And they've gotten the scoring defense together. You can still move the football on this Patriots defense. You saw the Broncos, for the most part, move the football tonight. Emmanuel Sanders damn near had 200 yards receiving after 2 quarters of football. I mean, he was dominating in this game. He had no help, and they couldn't get it in the end zone. And I talked about this earlier in the season when I was talking about how bad this Patriots defense was, and I told you it wasn't going to get better. It's gotten better. I still don't think it's fixed, because I don't think you fix what's wrong with this defense. But just like last year when the defense overall was great, They haven't played anybody. They haven't played any explosive offenses since. Was Carolina the last team that could actually score? And really, I looked at Carolina. I said, Carolina's not supposed to do what they just did to you. But was that the last credible opponent the Patriots have had? Like, who have they played since then? They played the Jets. Who else have they played? I mean, let's think about it for a second. They played. I know they played the Jets. When did they play the Bucks? I don't know. I can't. The fact that I can't think of a notable contest that the Patriots have played in since they lost to the Panthers at home, and that was their last loss, and I think they've won since then 5 straight. I'm guessing 5 straight, right? And I think after that Carolina game, it was a quick turnaround against Tampa. They stink. The Jets are in there somewhere. They're not a good football team. I'm trying to think. Of course, this game, they had the Falcons. I guess that's a good game. That's actually a good team, a good opponent that they shut down offensively. They're still trying to find themselves, but I don't want to take away from what the Patriots have done. I don't want to make this a whole referendum on how the Patriots aren't doing this or they don't look like the 2015 team or this team or that. Forget about all that. It's 2017. They won 41-16 tonight. They dominated in every facet. When I say every facet of the game, offense, defense, special teams, they did that tonight. This looks like more of the team that you look at and say, okay, they're going to be the class of the AFC when the season's over with. I still think they have issues defensively. We saw Butler get roasted tonight. You can throw the football on this Patriots defense. I think you can run the football on this Patriots defense. But what I said earlier in the season was, in past years, you could move the football on the Patriots. It wasn't impossible. But the difference was you weren't getting in the end zone. You can have all the yards you want. You're not getting in the end zone. And that was the case tonight. And you know my mantra. You know my motto. I've been saying it for years. Field goals don't win games. Touchdowns do. So you kick all the field goals you like. You're not going to win the game. Not when the other team's scoring touchdowns. That's what the Patriots were doing. And while the Denver Broncos were moving the football just as effectively as the Patriots were in the first half, you know what the Patriots were doing? They were scoring touchdowns. You know what the Broncos were doing? They were kicking field goals. That was the difference at halftime. One team had 27, the other team had 9. If those 3 field goals were converted, just 2 of them were converted into touchdowns, you're talking about a 27-17 game at halftime. It's a totally different game. If all 3 of those field goals were converted into touchdowns, it's 27-21. Now we got a shootout on our hands. Instead, they kicked 3 field goals. That's how you lose football games in this league. And so that's the difference to me. If you ask me what's the difference now in the Patriots defense and before with Matt Patricia's group, it's now that they're just holding teams out of the end zone. Now you're settling for field goals. Now you're not getting into the end zone. As before, when Carolina was playing against the Patriots, they were getting in the end zone. Before, when they were playing, the Houston Texans were getting into the end zone. Before, the Kansas City Chiefs were getting into the end zone. Teams were scoring points. And I just gave you a list of teams. Even the Saints game. The Saints moved the football, but the Saints got behind early. Patriots were able to score touchdowns. Saints were settling for field goals, having to go for it on 4th down and not converting, and they lost that game. But just listen to the opponents that I gave you. It was murderer's row early in the season. You know, that was a Houston team that still had all their weapons in let's call it week 4 maybe, week 3. Start out the season. Just think about all those teams they played. They played some tough teams early, and the schedule's lightened up considerably of late, but again, doesn't matter. This is what we've been looking for from New England right here, this type of performance. I'm still waiting for one of these from Pittsburgh, and I haven't gotten it, and I don't know if I'm going to get it. And so while I'm still high on the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm looking at this Patriots team, and I'm saying, I don't know if you can beat them or not. Now, I think defensively, the Steelers can slow down the Patriots because I'm still not blown away by what the Patriots do offensively. But, and I think this is the first explosive output they've had since that same game they lost to Carolina. I think this is the first time. Because even in that beatdown of the Falcons, they weren't overly impressive on the scoreboard. You know, it wasn't one of those 36 to 13 type games. I think they only scored in the 20s, but it was such a dominant performance in that game. Don't quote me on that. They might have scored 33, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But in any event, this was a total beatdown, a total ass whipping handed out by the Patriots on the road. Granted, it's not a good Denver Broncos team. They're struggling right now. Vance Joseph is struggling as a head coach. He doesn't have a quarterback. That's a mess in Denver right now. But that's what the Patriots used to do to these types of teams. They weren't doing that earlier in the season. They were letting teams hang around. They were making games close against Tampa Bay and teams of that ilk. They didn't do that tonight. They said, no, you're bad, and we're going to prove it early and often, and you're not going to have a chance by the time we get to the fourth quarter. And this game was, I could have came on and did this show an hour ago, but I didn't. I didn't feel like it. I just like, I'll just go on when the game's over. But this game was over in the third quarter. This game was over at halftime. We knew the game was over at 27-9. Who didn't? And then the Broncos proceeded to score to start the second half, and I'm like, that's cute. But you can't stop Brady and company. And what do? March right back down the field in like 5 or 6 plays and get in the end zone. I'm like, this game is over. I could have jumped on at that point. This game was done. But this is a dominant performance by the Patriots. They go to 7-2 on the season with a 41-16 victory. And I'm now looking at them a different way than I've looked at them all season. I haven't looked. And look, I know it's Brady, it's Belichick, it's the B&B winning factory. I know this, okay? I know that at the end, they're going to be there. I do understand this. Trust me, I'm a professional football watcher. I understand this. However, I was looking at this group a little differently. I didn't think this was, quote unquote, their year, okay? I looked at them and I don't think this is your year to go to the bowl. Now I'm looking at them and I'm like, why not? I mean, that week 1 loss at home to Kansas City was like so long ago. That was a whole 2 months ago. Like, that one doesn't even register with me anymore. Like, if those two teams played again in Foxborough, do you really think that would be the outcome this time around? Like, hell no. So, I look at the Patriots now, and unless Pittsburgh is game and those two will meet in week 15 and both teams will need it, the Patriots might have the AFC East locked up by then, but they won't have home field advantage locked up, I don't think, by then. And that could be a pivotal game as to who will get that home game in the AFC championship game, because that's what it looks like it's going to boil down to. What it's going to end up being is it's going to end up being Patriots and Steelers. And like the AFC is starting to become a much clearer picture than the NFC. The NFC is anybody's guess. That conference is so tough. I've said it a million times. No one knows what's going to happen in the NFC because it is so wide open. There is no dominant team, but there are so many good teams. They're 3-7 win teams. The best the AFC has to offer is 2 7-win teams. That's it. Patriots and the Steelers. And I think when it's all said and done, those are your 2 teams that are going to play in the AFC Championship game. I think we're all kind of going through the motions, and it's a means to an end to get us to the AFC Championship game with those 2 teams. I think they're the class of the AFC when I look up at the AFC and the way that things are shaping out there. But I look at the NFC, and I see an 8-1 Eagles team that's on fire. I see 3 7-win teams with the Vikings, Rams, and the Saints, all of which are playing superb football. Then I look at the Panthers, who have a chance to go to 7-3 win their 7th game of the season come Monday to add their name to the list of 7-win teams. So you're talking about 5 teams in the NFC with 7 wins or more at the 10-week mark of the season. And then there's a number of teams behind them. I think there may be 1 or 2 6-win teams in there, a bunch of 5-win teams, some 4-win teams that aren't dead yet in the NFC. Look at the AFC. It's Pittsburgh, it's New England, it's Kansas City at the next tier below Pittsburgh and New England, and then everybody else in the AFC. And you're looking at a AFC that is so wide open that Baltimore, yes, the Ravens, a team that can't score offensively, but their defense is really good, has a shot to get into this thing at 8-8 at the end of the season. They're going to look up and potentially be 8-8 and sneak in as a 6 seed in a wild card. Someone like that is going to get in the back door, because I look at Buffalo and I'm like, you're not the team I thought you were. Not after what you did today. I know New Orleans good, but that was embarrassing at home. You're not the team I thought you were. We know the Dolphins aren't a very good team. Okay? The fact that they're 4-4 right now is a miracle, but we know they're not a good football team. They're going to lose on Monday night. If they win, it would be so Miami Dolphins-like to go win on Monday night against Carolina on the road when no one's giving them a chance. But I'm not giving them a chance. They're going to lose. They're going to finally go under 500 for the first time this season, where they belong. Then you look at the AFC West. The Raiders aren't a good team. They're not consistent enough. The Denver Broncos are a bad team. Chargers are a bad team. You then go to the AFC North. Steelers are the class of that division. The Ravens have a shot because no one else wants that 6 seed. And then you look at the Bengals. They're not a good team. Neither are the Browns. Then you go to the AFC South. And it's crazy to say this. They might get 2 teams in, which is insane. We used to kill that division as the worst in football forever. Like, someone's got to get to the playoffs from the AFC South. They might get 2 teams in. They're going to get a division winner in, I think it's going to be Tennessee when it's all said and done. They're going to get a division winner in Jacksonville off the strength of their defense. They did it again. They did it again in this game, or in Week 10 in overtime. They're going to get in as a wild card. And then someone like Baltimore, who has no business going to the playoffs, absolutely zero, is going to probably get in the AFC, which is crazy. Which just tells you how much weaker the AFC is. And the NFC may have a 10-win team that's on the outside looking in. I'm just saying. So I said all of that to say this. New England is starting to look like the class of the AFC. Pittsburgh is right there a step behind. I think of the 2 teams, Pittsburgh's defense is greater. And so that's going to give them a chance to compete against a team like New England. And those are going to be your 2 teams that are probably going to meet in the AFC Championship game. And that Week 15 matchup between New England and Pittsburgh probably going to decide who gets to play that game, that AFC Championship game at home. If Pittsburgh protects Heinz Field in Week 15, that might be the key to them getting to the Super Bowl in 2017. If they don't, and they'll allow the Patriots to come into their house and beat them, then the Patriots will have the AFC Championship game in Foxborough, most likely, and that'll be the path that they take to the Super Bowl again. And it's amazing because the AFC was wide open just 3 weeks ago. It was Kansas City was the best in the conference. Pittsburgh and New England were there, but it was wide open. It was anybody's game. It was anybody's guess. And 3 weeks later, Kansas City is starting to take a step back, and New England and Pittsburgh have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. And it's games like this that continue to further the narrative that the Patriots are the class of the AFC still. And we wanted to take – I was a big proponent of, hey, this defense isn't going to get it together. I still think there are issues defensively, but the beauty of what they're doing is they're not letting you get in the end zone. And you can mask a lot of problems and deficiencies you have if you're forcing the other team to kick field goals. Because, like I said, you can move it 20-20. Doesn't matter if you're not getting in the end zone. And the beauty for the Pittsburgh Steelers is that once the playoffs start, you don't have to worry about the Indianapolis Colts or the Chicago Bears anymore. Those teams aren't coming to get you. The boogeyman isn't coming to scare you. They're not going to jump out of the closet or come from underneath the bed to get you if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. You don't have to worry about any more bad teams. It's all good teams, so you can play your best football. You don't have to worry about playing down to the level of the competition. You can play your best football because all good teams get to the playoffs for the most part. So don't worry about what you saw from Pittsburgh today or what you saw from them in Week 3 versus the Bears. Those teams don't make it to the playoffs, so you don't have to worry about the Pittsburgh Steelers playing down to their level of competition. So voila, there you have it. The 2 best teams in the AFC. I can tell you what's going to happen. Like, you don't even have to worry about the AFC the remainder of the season. As long as there are no catastrophic injuries, and if they can find a way to get Ben Roethlisberger through his final season in Pittsburgh healthy, they're going to be in the AFC Championship game along with this New England Patriots team. And I know I just said a whole lot that had nothing to do with this game, but this game wasn't worth talking about. I mean, the Patriots dominated on special teams. They had a great kickoff return for a touchdown by the running back. I can't think of his name. Not James White, not Burkhead, but the other one that's very elusive. Dion Lewis. Had a kickoff return by Dion Lewis. Rex Burkhead did everything except throw a touchdown pass. He caught one. He blocked a punt. He did everything in this game. So they had a block punt, a kickoff return. Isaiah McKenzie muffed a punt. They recovered that. They ended up scoring points off of that. They did everything on special teams. The offense looked machine-like. Gronk with his elbow pad from the future, that 2027 model that has a flap at the end now. He was dominating in this game. They get Martellus Bennett off of waivers, and he catches the pass. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, this guy wasn't even playing for Green Bay, and he shows up in New England, and he's active. The hell, man? It's ridiculous. But they dominated this game. Brock Osweiler was able to move the football with E-Man Sand, and I told Broncos fans that of the two receivers that they have, the two big receivers that they have, E-Man Sand is the more consistent of the two. When he's not in the lineup, you see a difference because the effectiveness of your third down conversions, your big plays on third downs go away, because that's the guy that all the quarterbacks are looking for, because he's the one that's going to win. Demaryius Thomas is the more explosive of the two. When I say that, he's the guy that's a big play waiting to happen. At any moment, he could not be doing anything and catch, a 57-yard touchdown. But he'll also drop a 3rd and 8 pass and force you to have to punt, whereas E-Man Sand isn't dropping anything. So, to me, he's the more consistent. He proved it again in this game. The problem still remains, you can't get in the end zone when you get down, and that's been the problem all season long. That was a problem with Trevor Siemian at quarterback when he wasn't turning it over. And so you have turnovers, you have mistakes on special teams, you can't stop the opposition, you can't get to Brady, which has been your calling card against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots over the years, is your ability to get Brady off the spot, fluster him, force him into mistakes, and sack him, disrupt him. You didn't do that in this game, and they had their way with you. And as far as the Patriots are concerned, this is the blueprint for the remainder of the season for beating bad teams. You're going to get a number of bad teams left on the AFC East, which looked like a solid division just 3 weeks ago. Like, wow, the Patriots could actually be in a run for it. That division is starting to turn into what we've known it to be over the last decade or so. This is a Patriots division. They're going to run away with this thing. The Bills are about to, I don't want to say they're going to go into a shell or a tank, but they're not who we thought. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, we were saying, wow, the Bills got the Patriots 2 games coming down the stretch. They could be in this thing. They're not in a goddamn thing, okay? The Patriots are about to run away with this division. The Dolphins stink, and if I'm not mistaken, did they already beat the Dolphins once, this Patriots team? I'm trying to recollect. I don't remember. I vaguely remember the Patriots' schedule. Normally, I remember their games. I know they just came off of a bye week, but I vaguely remember if they've played anyone other than the Jets. I know they played the Jets in New York, and I don't know if they played anybody else in the division yet. Don't quote me on that, but in any event, they're going to run away with that division. And let's just assume, let's just assume they still got the Jets at home. Let's just assume that they haven't played the Bills yet. I know that for a fact. And they're going to probably win both, if not both, at least one of those games. But they're probably going to win both of those games. And let's just assume that they haven't played the Dolphins yet either, because I don't recall them playing the Dolphins yet. So let's just assume they haven't played the Dolphins. That's 5 games in the division. What's stopping them from winning all 5 of those games? They may lose 1, but come on, let's be serious here. Let's be frank and candid with ourselves. They're probably going to win every single one of those games in the division. They got the Raiders, they got the Steelers, and I think the rest of the games are divisional games. I'm trying to think. They're 7-2. That's 9. So they've got 7 games left. 5 in the division, Steelers and Raiders. Let's just call it that. I could be wrong, but let's just call it 5 division games, Raiders and Steelers, outside of the division. They're going to win at least 5, if not 6 of those games to get them to either 13-3 or 14-2. At worst, they're coming out of that stretch 12-4. It's another one of those years for the Patriots, and I think the Steelers are going to be right there with them step for step. It has not been pretty for the Steelers at all this season, and I think they're going to end up being every bit of 12-4. The worst the Steelers will finish is 11-5, but for them to finish 11-5, they've got to pretty much have a nosedive the back end of their schedule. They still got Cleveland once more. They've got Baltimore once more. And they've got Cincinnati once more. They're probably going to win all 3 of those games. They may lose one of those games. They've got New England. That could possibly be a loss. And they've got Tennessee. That's not an easy one at home on Thursday night. So we'll see what the Steelers do Thursday night. But I surmise that the Steelers, worst case scenario, 11-5. Best case scenario for them, 13-3. I surmise for the Patriots, worst case scenario, 12-4. Best case scenario, 14-2. And again, that's assuming health. And I know I didn't talk about this game that much. What was there to talk about? The Patriots dominated on offense. Brady was Brady. The special teams unit was outstanding. They were outstanding. I would pay money for my Redskins to have one of the plays the Patriots had on special. Just one. Just one of those plays the Patriots had on special teams. I haven't seen a great play on special teams from the Redskins since last year. Sometime last year. Our special teams has been a detriment, not a positive. Their special teams unit in one game, they could have won the game on special teams by themselves if they wanted to. Just off the plays they made on special teams, the kickoff return, the block punt that led to points, and the muff punt by the Broncos that they recovered. Those 3 plays alone, leading to touchdowns, would have been enough to win this game 21-17. They dominated this game. What more can I say? What more can I say? What more do I need to say? The Broncos are a mess. The Patriots are the best in the AFC, along with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is what I've explained over the last 15 minutes. Need I say more? Let's get to some comments. There's really not much more to talk about with this game. So let's get to some comments. Let's see what we got. Cloud says, another ass whooping. Yep. Pepe the YouTuber says, I have no idea why I couldn't stop laughing when the Broncos got caught with 12 men on the field on the punt. Just 10 minutes of me laughing like a madman. It's what bad teams do. And that's what the Patriots do. That's what good football teams do. They catch you with your pants down. And then they got caught with 10 men on the field on a touchdown run by Deion Lewis. So, I mean, they couldn't win for lose tonight. 12 men on the field, 10 men on the field. It just was what it was. Dark Sailor 1995 says, this Broncos defense is ass cheeks. Vance Joseph looks lost on the sidelines, and they have tried plugging holes into a sinking ship, and it isn't working. I'm not going to kill Vance Joseph. It's his first year. He didn't know what he was getting himself into quarterback-wise. I, much like he did, thought that the answer was Trevor Siemian. So I'm not going to kill him because I thought Siemian could be an NFL quarterback, a starting NFL quarterback, and he just makes too many mistakes to be an NFL starting quarterback. And it started there. And the defense, while it's not what it was earlier in the season, this defense isn't terrible. They're just not what they once were. And it's not helping that the special teams and the offense are making it that much tougher on them. But the fact that they have no interior pressure and you got guys coming off the edge, it doesn't help because all these tackles have to do is find a way to just get a piece of Von Miller, just get a piece of Shane Ray as they are trying to loop around and just allow the quarterback to just step up. And that's what teams are doing. Dark Sealer 1995 says, Miller gets garbage sacks. He gets driven away from the play far too often for a man getting paid $20 million a year. The Broncos' inside linebackers aren't athletic enough. Like I just said, you can't kill Von Miller for them not having any interior pressure. It goes hand in hand. When he was getting sacks before, they had interior pressure. that would allow him to get around the edge. There was nowhere for the quarterback to step up. So guess what? Miller beats his guy at around 6.5, 7 yards and is able to turn the corner. Now, when he beats his guy at 7 yards, maybe 7.5 yards, all the tackle has to do is just give him a slight little push up the field, and all the quarterback has to do is just step up in the pocket. So now that 7.5 yards that Von Miller's trying to turn the corner at, which is great, isn't good enough. It's not good enough because there's no interior pressure collapse in the pocket. So the quarterback's got all the space he needs to step up. Dark Steeler 1995 also says the Broncos defense is the AFC version of the Seahawks defense. Old and slow and average, it can be beat. Difference is Seahawks got a franchise QB, Broncos don't, Lou. Yeah, maybe. The Legion of Boom is definitely getting old. But I think the Seahawks do a better job of surrounding their aging veterans with more youthful players. They still got talent on the defensive line. And don't forget about Bobby Wagner. The Broncos don't have a Bobby Wagner on their team, which makes it all come together. You just talked about their inside linebackers are slow. Well, the Seahawks inside linebackers aren't slow. KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner are outstanding. And so that allows them to make some mistakes and still have them cleaned up by the guys like Wagner and KJ Wright. So that's another difference between the Seahawks defense and the Broncos defense. Sean Mack says, touchdowns are worth 6 points, bro. Don't be adding the never certain PAT to that. Most kickers are putting the PATs through the uprights. If you got a bum kicker, then you can't count it. But if you've got a good kicker, a quality NFL kicker, you're putting the PAT through the uprights for the most part. You don't even see them missed as often as you used to. Like I said, only the bad teams. You might see one blocked. I think a couple of teams got some blocked today. But for the most part, teams are putting that through the uprights. Reese says, have you ever seen the Indiana Jones film series? Which one is your favorite? No, I haven't, actually. Buffalo pregame says, it's a horrible day to be a Bills fan. Pats win, Bills lose. I told you this season was no different with these two teams. You did say that. You were not sold when this team was riding high and they were 5-2 and destroying teams at home. You weren't sold. And I told you, I did say this. I told you, and I still think that this season could be different because I think 8 wins could potentially get you in. And I think you're already close to 8. But your schedule is about to get stupid tough. And after seeing what you did today, I'm nervous for you. But with that being said, you said this. I said to you when you told me I am not confident they're going to have to show me, that was a damaged Bills fan talking. And I told you, I can't tell you how to feel because I'm not a Bills fan. Just like when I have serious conversations about the Redskins with fellow Redskins fans, I don't want to hear from a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I don't want to hear from a Baltimore Ravens fan. I don't want to hear from any other fan base in the league if you can't relate to what I'm saying. You haven't been in our shoes, so you can't talk to me about our struggles. I felt your pain when you told me, I'm not buying this. My team hasn't been to the playoffs since 1999. I've seen great starts go in the toilet at the end under Rex Ryan and all these other coaches. I've seen this story before. I know how this movie ends. All I got to do is push the tape in, put the DVD in, and hit rewind or hit start from the beginning. You told me, I've seen this before and I don't believe. And I told you, I think it's different this year. And you said, well, I don't. And I respected your opinion. You know why? Because I knew what you were going through as a Bills fan. I couldn't relate. So when you told me, I'm not buying what you're selling, man, I said, I think this is different. New GM Brandon Beane has come in, flipped this roster over. New head coach Sean McDermott has come in. Different attitude, different players, different mindset. I'm not giving up, but boy, was that loss today ugly and reminiscent of what we've seen in the past from the Bills when they start getting something good going. That right there, had that been in New Orleans, you just say, hot team in their building, okay, move on. That was at home. Those aren't supposed to happen at home. Pepe the YouTuber says, also don't mind me, I'm just a depressed Texans fan waiting for the return of my boy Watson. Well, you got a long time to wait, so you need to turn that depression into something else, bro. Maybe you need to start turning that depression into focusing on. You can't even focus on it. It's nothing worse than wanting to look at the draft, see what you can get in the first round, and then realize, damn, I don't even have a first round pick. Jesus. Buffalo pregame says, did you hear about the naked streaker at the Bills game that ran the entire football field without being tackled? No, I didn't. But that's all right, man. You know, sometimes even the streakers got to score sometimes, right? Pepe the YouTuber says, but it's too damn cold in Buffalo to be doing that. Pepe the YouTuber says, Patriots going to make the championship game. In other news, water is wet. Thank you. That's pretty much what I was trying to say for the last 20 minutes. And you summed it up in a 2-second statement that was eloquently put. There you go. I don't need to say anything else. You said it best right there. Nestles Toy 01 says the Patriots always are playoff contenders. Some say the Seahawks are the Patriots of the NFC for the same reason. So why can't the Broncos, or is it just because they have no franchise QB? Yeah, you pretty much hit it on the head. The Broncos don't have a quarterback. The Seahawks have a quarterback. The Patriots have a franchise quarterback. You need one of those. Believe it or not, you need one of those in this league to succeed on a consistent basis. You know why the Green Bay Packers make it to the playoffs every year? Because they got Aaron Rodgers. You know why the Patriots make it to the Super Bowl almost every year? Because they have Belichick and Brady. The same reason the Seahawks, even when they're having a down year, still make it to the playoffs, have Russell Wilson. You need one of those quarterbacks. If you're going to be a triple P, as I call it, a perennial playoff participant, you're going to be one of those, you need a franchise quarterback. And the Denver Broncos don't have that. So, yeah. Dark Seal in 1995 says, the NFL product this year is bad. AFC is just boring because it's the Steelers and Patriots. Add to that fact that there's so many blowouts. It's a pathetic product. But yet you still watch. And that's the dilemma. I don't think it's been that bad. We had a stretch there where there were some really good games, really entertaining games. We've had a lot of blowouts. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. There have been a lot of non-competitive football games on. The games that they put on, they couldn't have known the Giants were going to be bad. And so they put them on a ton of primetime games. And they put the Dolphins on 3 weeks in a row. Whose bright idea was it to put the Dolphins on national television on every single platform 3 straight weeks? We're going to give you the Dolphins on Thursday. They get their ass whooped 40-0. We're going to give you the Dolphins on a Sunday night. They lose at home to the Raiders. Now they're going to give it to us on a Monday night. Whose bright idea up in New York was it to say, hey, let's put the Dolphins on 3 weeks in a row? That should be great for ratings. Who does that? What's the genius that did that? So there was you couldn't have foreshadowed that certain teams were going to be bad, that you were hoping would be good, and these matchups would be epic. They didn't know the Broncos were going to stink in Week 10, and this game wasn't going to be compelling at all. They couldn't have known. And you know, they got the Giants and the Redskins on Thanksgiving night. That's not good football. Obviously, I'm going to be glued to the television because that's my boys, but that's not compelling football. No one cares about that. The Giants stink. They're going to fire their coach soon. Maybe as early as tomorrow morning. He could be gone. They just lost to a winless 49ers team that's no longer winless. Hey, Browns, you're by yourself. Get you one. Oh, I need to say this because I wanted to say this on Thursday and I forgot. Is it me or did anybody notice the change to Twitter? Now you get like 9,000 characters on Twitter. Did you guys notice the change too? Or is it just me? I know for a fact because I typed my man Sean Mack a message on Thursday night after the Thursday night game, and the message had to be every bit of 300, 400 characters. And they went from counting down your amount of characters to this ring that goes around, and it's a tracker, and it kind of just fills up. As you type more characters, it slowly fills up. And once it fills up, you're out of characters. But it's allowing you to type so they must have made a change. They must have realized 140 characters not enough. Salute to Twitter for making a big change to their brand. The 140 characters had been Twitter for so long. And all of a sudden they woke up one morning and said, we should make this thing 400 characters. What do you say? I'm all for it. Stops me from having to type 3 and 4 messages just to say one thing. So, hey, salute to Twitter. I don't know if you guys caught wind of that, but I did, and I just had to say, I had to share it with you guys. Dark Sealer 1995 says, it's easy for the Patriots to win a division and get a first-round bye in the playoffs when their division has been garbage since Tom came into the league. Pretty much. And give credit to the Patriots. Their division has been bad, but they've dominated their division. We've seen other teams reign supreme over their division, but have slip-ups to teams in their division because it's family business. And it's easy to lose to a Jets team on the road like they almost did earlier in the season. It's easy to lose to the Bills in Buffalo, but they don't. They go to Buffalo routinely, they win. They go to New York and find a way to pull those games out most likely. And the Dolphins are the only team that's been able to give them trouble in Miami. And even in New England certain times. Remember when they first pulled out the Wildcat? They bust New England's ass in New England. And every now and again, they'll go to New England and get them. The Dolphins have been the one team in the division that has given them a problem every year. Even when they don't beat them, they'll bang Brady up a little bit. But other than that, yeah, they've been able to dominate the division. And you got to give them credit for that. They've been able to go in and go 5-1, 6-0 in the division just about every year. FBG Tony says, the Broncos are horrible. Underwhelming performances for the amount of talent. Vance is off on the lean, LOL. QB position is an absolute mess, and the run game is inconsistent. You pretty much summed up, except for the Vance is on the lean part, you pretty much summed up the Broncos season up until this point. Cloud says, Broncos need to try Paxton Lynch or Chad Kelly. How much different can they be at this point? Well, they're not going to try Chad Kelly. He's not ready. But, I mean, Paxton Lynch, I won't say he can't be much worse because, yeah, he can be, which is probably why they haven't played him. But what do you got to lose at this point? You're not making the playoffs. You might as well find out if he can play or not. So, let's see what we got now. Ezak Schnook says, I wonder how good the Broncos would be if they got Tony Romo. If he could stay healthy, he'd definitely help. It'd be like having Peyton Manning all over again. But better. You know, that last year Manning was garbage because Manning he didn't have anything left in the tank. But it'd be more like 2015 Peyton Manning or 2014 Peyton Manning where he lit up the scoreboard. They still got a ton of talent, believe it or not. So they're just missing a veteran. That's why like a guy like Kirk Cousins going to Denver makes so much sense. You know, I'm still hearing rumors of Drew Brees potentially being available. And a guy like Drew Brees going to Denver makes a ton of sense. You know, a veteran quarterback that you know you can plug in and win with right away makes so much sense in Denver just because they've got a ton of talent offensively. And you look up and you say, look, the defense isn't great, but you add any semblance of an offense to that defense. And while it's not what they were earlier in the season and they are getting a year older, still a good defense in Denver. The Black Al B says, sorry my boys had to do that to your burgundy and gold. Man, don't be sorry. Be careful. You did what you were supposed to do today. You took care of business. Don't apologize for doing what you must do. Reese says, I'm still not impressed, Lou. We beat a bad team. You did what you were supposed to do at home. You saved your coach's job. You put the rumors to rest of him losing the locker room by winning the game. Good for you. Netzel's Toy 01 says, do you have a favorite NFL season? My fondest memory, non-Redskins Super Bowl season would be the 1998 NFL season. That was the year Randy Moss's rookie season took the league by storm. They scored a bunch of points in Minnesota. It was so much fun to watch. And I still haven't forgiven Gary Anderson of the Minnesota Vikings. And I haven't forgiven that. It's Gary Anderson, damn it. I haven't forgiven Gary Anderson. He was such a good NFL field goal kicker. And it's a shame that his career is defined by one miss when the guy was one of the best field goal kickers in NFL history. But his legacy is defined by that one miss in the playoffs against, and even the Dirty Bird Falcons were fun that year with the Jamal Anderson and all those guys doing Dirty Bird. It was just a fun year. 98 was a fun year. And the Broncos, we knew they were getting to the Super Bowl, and it was supposed to be Broncos, Vikings, and I'll never forgive Gary Anderson for destroying what was going to be one of the greatest Super Bowls ever. And instead we got Falcons and Broncos, and the Broncos destroyed the Falcons. And so, yeah, it's that. Sean Mack says, you think NBC will flex a game and boot a damn game out? Of course, they're going to do it at least 2 or 3 times. There are a number of games that are candidates down the stretch that will get flexed. Don't you worry. They're going to start flexing in and out. Sean Mack says, I noticed it went from 140 to 280. Yeah, they doubled it. I love it. Great job. Reese says, Chris Godwin had a solid day. The ball just finds this guy. Good for him. I haven't watched the game yet, but that's good for him. Reese says, why is Denver so standoffish towards Paxton Lynch? I thought they loved him when he was picked. They loved him before they found out he's Paxton Lynch. That's the problem, is that they drafted him off of measurables, and they failed to recognize he played it at Memphis. He didn't throw the football down the field. Everything was horizontal. Nothing was vertical in the passing game. These were all complaints I had of Paxton Lynch. Like, yeah, he's got all the raw measurables. He's got the size. He's an athlete. He's a big guy, got an arm. But you never saw it at Memphis. He didn't throw the football down the field. Everything was horizontal. Everything was short and underneath, and guys were getting, and it was a fast-paced offense, but it was a spread. He doesn't have any concept of calling out a play verbally, reading defenses. He didn't have to do any of that at Memphis. He never was under center. All of these things are foreign to him. It's going to be a huge, steep learning curve for him. They figured that out when they drafted him, and it hasn't gone well for him, I'm assuming. Dark Seal 1995 says, Broncos got Forrest Gump in quarterback in Lynch. Patrick Starr at quarterback in Osweiler, and Whitestain on your boxers and Trevor at quarterback. Yikes. Sean Mack says, does the 49ers win still count as my upset special since they were favored after I picked them? LOL. I mean, you can have it. They were a winless team, but I told you they were favored to win. So I don't know if you get credit for the upset special there, Sean Mack. But if you feel better because you call it an upset special, go right ahead, man. Your upset special came through. Reese says, Gary Anderson's kick would have put the Vikings up by 10 if I remember correctly. Correct. You did remember correctly. Their defense didn't do their jobs. Blame shouldn't be placed on. Yes, it should. He hadn't missed a kick all season. It was a chip shot field goal. Make the damn kick. Send the Vikings to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, you're right. The defense could have gotten a stop. They had a defensive back, and I can't remember his damn name for the life of me, but he had a chance at a pick that would have closed the show, and he dropped the damn football. And the next play, Chris Chandler throws the football for a damn touchdown. It sends the game to overtime. But still, F all of that. None of that is even possible. None of that is even relevant if Gary Anderson does his damn job. And it was like a 31-yard field. It was a chip shot. He hadn't missed all season. Make the damn field goal. Sean Mack says, never, ever take a spread college QB. It never freaking works. That's not always true, but 90% of the time, no, it doesn't work out. Sean Mack says, Anderson and Walsh, it's something about Minnesota, LOL. God damn it. I'll never forgive Gary Anderson. He was such a good field goal kicker, but I'll never forgive him for wrecking what was going to be the greatest Super Bowl ever. It was going to be such an epic game. 2 juggernauts meeting. Boy, was that going to be good. But in any event, I digress. Patriots dominate this game 41-16. Go to 7-2 on the season with the ass whooping of the Denver Broncos. Broncos dropped to 3-6 on the season. And these teams are going in 2 totally different directions. The Broncos, who started out the season 3-1, are now on a crash course for disaster. There are questions about their head coach, questions at the quarterback position, questions about this defense all of a sudden. A ton of questions in Denver, not nearly enough answers. Meanwhile, the Patriots are starting to hit their stride. They're getting contributions from not only the defense now, but the special teams now chipping in. The offense starting to look more and more like a well-oiled machine. Remember, there wasn't even a Chris Hogan in this game. There's not going to be a Julian Edelman, and they looked machine-like tonight with the running backs out of the backfield. Now, I told you that was going to happen. I said, when Edelman went down, I said, don't worry. Eventually, they're going to start throwing the football to the backs out of the backfield, and these receivers are going to start making plays, and the tight ends are going to step up, and all of a sudden, you're going to forget about Julian Edelman not even being in the lineup. Well, Is anybody talking about Julian Edelman not being in the lineup right now? No, because they've got running backs, they've got tight ends, and they've got receivers, and they're going to be fine. And it's Brady. I mean, it's still Tom Brady. And so he looked machine-like tonight. This team looked machine-like, and they absolutely destroyed the Denver Broncos in the Mile High City, 41-16 to get to 7-2 on the season. That's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Sunday Night Football Overtime. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Lockdown coverage coming your way tomorrow, bright and early. So I'll see you guys for that. And we'll be back for Monday Night Football Overtime. Panthers home hosting the Miami Dolphins. Third straight week. The goddamn Miami Dolphins are on our television set on a prime time setting. Whose genius idea was that? I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.